Imagine you're standing at a railway switch. A runaway trolley is speeding down the tracks toward 5 people tied to the rails. You see a lever. If you pull it, you can divert the trolley onto another track. But there's one person tied down there. What do you do? This is called the trolley problem, one of the most famous thought experiments in philosophy, exploring the complex world of ethics. Before we dive deeper into these moral dilemmas, it's important to understand the difference between ethics and morality. Some people would tell you that there actually is no difference between ethics and morality. But many, myself included, disagree with this sentiment. Morality refers to your internal beliefs about right and wrong, the core values that guide your decisions. Ethics, on the other hand, is how you apply those moral values in real-world situations. It's the practical application of your beliefs in complex or difficult scenarios. Now let's switch things up with a new scenario. This time, imagine that the trolley is headed for 3 people, and next to you is a very large person. You realize that if you push this person onto the tracks, their weight will stop the trolley and save the 3 people. You have to ask yourself, is it ethical to push this person to their death to save the others? In this version of the trolley problem, you're not just pulling a lever, you're actively using someone as a means to an end. Does that change your decision? This variation intensifies the ethical question. While utilitarianism might lead you to push the person, saving 3 at the cost of 1, many would feel morally conflicted about actively causing harm. This modified trolley problem elucidates a different ethical theory, called deontology, which argues that the morality of an action is based on whether the action itself is right or wrong, not just the consequences. Now let's consider a similar but more personal scenario. You're a doctor in a hospital with 5 patients who each need a different organ to survive. A healthy person walks into the hospital for a routine checkup. Would it be ethical to sacrifice the healthy person, harvesting their organs to save the 5? Although the scenario feels different, it reduces down to the same core question as the trolley problem. Can we justify sacrificing 1 life to save 5? Here, we're faced with the same ethical dilemma, just in a new context. Consequentialism alone leads us to the conclusion that yes, it would be justified. But deontologically, we would need to evaluate how these organs are being harvested. For example, if you were taking these organs by force, then that would be considered an ethical wrongdoing. You can imagine the terror of living in a world where at any point someone can harvest your organs as long as they use the organs to save at least 2 lives. If that world sounds like a nightmare to you, then I should probably point out that consequentialism alone cannot get you to a moral condemnation of that world. But deontology can. In the real world, we engage in some amount of deontology on this issue. Organ harvesting is real. We just only do it when someone is already dead, and on the basis of their consent. For example, I'm an organ donor. It says as much on my driver's license. These thought experiments challenge our instinctive moral judgments, forcing us to question the value of lives and whether the way we act to save those lives matters more than the outcome. The trolley problem and its variations force us to flesh out our moral perspectives by exposing us to ethical scenarios. Consequentialism/utilitarianism are easy to wrap your head around because they're highly numerical. Deontology, however, requires a little bit more thought to accept. If we abide by only consequentialism, then we create a world where there is no such thing as wrong tactics, only wrong targets for those tactics. If we choose to live in such a world, then we choose to live in a world of infinitely justifiable evil. If we live in a world where all evil acts are justifiable, then we live in a world of moral and ethical confusion. Do we act based on the consequences, or is the morality of our actions defined by principles we refuse to break, no matter the cost? What do you think? Would you pull the lever or push the man? Let me know in the comments. And the next time you're faced with a moral dilemma, ask yourself, are you pulling the lever, or are you letting the trolley ride?